I worked with a company some years ago in telecommunications, and what we would do is buy spectrum. Spectrum is what makes cell phones work. You know, radio frequency travels through spectrum, which is rated from 0 megahertz to infinity. Okay, and if you think about an interstate, and you have, let's say you have 8 lanes in an interstate, the carriers, such as today you have AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile, they will buy and own a particular lane where their traffic, their voice, text, and data traffic stays in that lane, and it cannot get in the other lane because the Federal Communications Commission regulates who can travel in which lane. Okay, so in those 8 lanes, let's say 6 of those are purchased and active, and 2 of them are just sitting there. And we would go through in an auction, and we would buy unused spectrum. And the whole auction process is it's an inefficient market, and so what we would do is take advantage of inefficiencies. The bigger players like AT&T, Verizon, Sprint would target larger markets first, like New York, LA, Chicago, and as those markets filter down, you have smaller markets that are not their primary target. They'll get back to them later. So then we would go in and buy those markets, and then in essence sell them to them at a later time for much more than what we paid for them. This particular market was in Monroe, Louisiana, and we identified who the owner was, because that's public information, and we knew about what he paid for it, and suggested to our CEO that we buy it because it would be a valuable market, and he just wasn't interested in doing that. So we talked about it for a while, and I knew who owned spectrum in Monroe and who didn't. And what's key to Monroe is it's on I-20. It's on Interstate 20. There are 3 major east-west corridors. There's I-10 along the coast, I-20 from Jackson, Mississippi to Dallas, and I-40, which runs through Nashville. If you're a carrier and you have spectrum, you have to be able to provide that connectivity on Interstate 20. It's a major artery through the South. So I said, I think we can. He said, what do you think we'll have to pay to get it? And I said, about $3 or $3.25 million. And he still was hesitant about it. And I said, we'll turn around and sell it for $7, because I knew what the market value was for spectrum. So between the time we bought this, we closed on the purchase for $3.25 million, and we sold it not for $7 but for $10 million, was 4 months.
Amazing.
So we made close to $7 million in 4 months.
Yes, that's a good story.
Yeah.
I like things like that.